right now, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get to this young man, Trevin Rinck, who, I mean, he comes from a great family, a phenomenal family, a family of athletes, as I understand, a family that is very, firmly based in their Christian faith, and a young man who is standing out amongst everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we bring in Trevin Rinck. What's up, Trev? Hang on. Let me get your mic on. There we go. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well, but probably not as good as you, dude. The MLB Junior Home Run Derby, that had to be quite the experience for you. What was it like to enter, right? What was the process like for that? What gave you the I don't know, the idea that you would stand out? Did you have momentum going into it? Or did you go in and, I mean, you hit, 19 out of 25 pitches in the regional out of the ballpark? Have you always been a home run hitter? Let's start with this, because I'm giving you a ton of questions because I'm excited for you. Let's start with this. What was the process like to get started into the Junior Home Run Derby?
All right, so the first one that we did, there was 3 parts. The first one was in Hudson, Ohio, so about an hour away something from us, but we almost didn't even go to that, but it was on the way to one of our tournaments before, so we stopped there. I won that one, but after that, it was like a 2-3 week break in between. So we headed to Detroit for the next one, and Detroit is probably the best one I did for sure. Again, like you said, I went 19 for 25, but the talent up in Detroit was actually pretty solid. There's like 2 other kids that had a chance to go, but I beat them out. And then when I went to Seattle, that the talent up there is amazing. Like, you had kids from all over the country. I think the winner ended up being from Knoxville, Tennessee, but everybody there was great. So,
dude, when you're competing against the best in the country, the best in the world, basically, because this is the United States and we still are the world champs, 2-time defending. When you're thinking about that, does that ever like sit in the back of your mind as you're swinging at pitches? Like, do you ever get kind of anxious? I mean, is that something that goes through your head?
I mean, that morning, I'm not gonna lie, I was so nervous. Like, the night before, I was even more nervous because we actually we checked our bat in before, but they didn't put our bat on our flight, so we were all super nervous. Like, my dad had to go out and buy a new bat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Our bat ended up getting on another flight to Seattle, so luckily I was able to use it, but we were very nervous at that time. So,
well, and people don't understand baseball, and softball for that matter. Aluminum bats, if you go out and buy a bat, it needs some breaking in time, right? So
yeah, it takes about like
gonna,
300 swings or something like that.
Yeah, it's not hot right out of the wrapper.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, and you got to rotate it, and there's a lot of love and TLC that goes into it. So when your bat isn't on the same plane as you, when did you find out? What was your immediate thought process of oh my gosh, what am I going to swing?
Oh crap! Just shocked,
Now, were you hitting over the regular wall there in Seattle?
So they set up another fence about like 200, so
Okay.
not too far. But I ended up having the furthest hit ball of anybody there. I think or the 2 furthest actually. I had 2 in game that would have been ground rule doubles. So.
Wow. Did they give you the actual measurement? Do you know? Do you recall that?
They didn't give us the actual measurement, but it bounced on the warning track is all I know. So.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, when you're standing there, and I've had the joy of playing at 2 different parks, major league parks. I played at what used to be Jacobs Field, now of course Progressive Field, and I played at PNC Park. So when you're standing there, what's crazy to me, and maybe you have the same sentiment, maybe it's different, is what feels so big when you're in the stands, all of a sudden isn't that big when you're standing there because the walls are so tall. What was it like for you when you're standing in that box and you're swinging away?
This is just an amazing experience, pretty much. Like, when I first stepped on that field, I was like, this is how I know I've made it. Like, I'm just shocked that I did this good. But then again, all comes back to God. God gave me these abilities, and just have to praise him for it.
I love that, man. I love that your family is firmly based in your faith and God and a big part of your life. Let's transition over to when you realized or dad realized that you were a power hitter and even signed up. Because I'll be honest, I was a gap to gap, hard line drive hitter. But I think everybody dreams of it. I mean, you guys are in the backyard, you're swinging, you're doing the home run derby. When did you realize that you are a power hitter? And I mean, Trev, quite honestly, one of the best in the country.
So my first ever home run that I hit was in 10U, and then like so 10U, then I hit a couple in 11U, but my first big year for home runs was 12U. I think I had 20 the whole year, so that was like the moment I realized I'm a power hitter.
20 home runs.
Yeah.
So I tell you this with complete certainty that there's college coaches out there already watching this, salivating and trying to figure out how to get a hold of you and waiting for what you're going to do. So what, I mean, you travel obviously for even playing tournaments. What teams do you play for and when did you start traveling?
So I've done travel ball since 10U. Currently I'm on the Ohio Spiders. Shout out to them. They're a great organization. And they are a team that like gets kids on the map. Like they're focused on the development, get us in big tournaments, like Perfect Game and PBR, big brands out there. They care about those tournaments a lot more than they do local. So we head down there a lot. But yeah, but all we do down practice is hit and field, but hitting's like our main focus and stuff. But just shout out to them again. They're a great organization. Thank you to them for putting me on their team.
Well, we know you can hit. What can you do on defense? Do you pitch? Do you play the field? Where do you go?
So when I play defense, I'm usually a pitcher, shortstop, or third base, but I'm comfortable playing everywhere else. Like I've caught, played first, outfield a lot. So I pretty much play everywhere.
So you got a big bat and you've got a big arm. I mean, everybody right now infatuated with Shohei Ohtani. Can we see the future Shohei Ohtani sitting with us right now?
I mean, I hope so, but I don't know if I'm going to be that good.
Who's your inspiration in the major leagues? And a name we would recognize. And the second part of that question, maybe not the person who's your inspiration, but who do you characterize your game and personalize it closest to? Is there a comparable that you see in the major leagues right now that you'd like to be like?
So right now, I want to be like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, he's my favorite player. Love him. Like, I just want to be like him when I get older. But my game, honestly, it's probably a lot like Jose Ramirez, I would say, in the sense that he's good contact when he needs it, but when they need power, he can hit it pretty good.
Are you a stat watcher? I obviously you watch your home runs, but do you look at your batting average? Do you look at your slugging percentage after games, during the week and say, okay, I need to get this a little bit higher. So maybe I'll choke up a little bit on the bat, or maybe I'll focus on going opposite field. Is that stuff that's crossing your mind yet?
Yeah, I like to focus on average a lot. Like average is one thing. Like what's the point of hitting a home run if you're batting like under 100 and stuff? So
that's a good point. All right, let's get the measurements, man. How tall? You threw out the first pitch in the YSN All-Star game. I stood next to you and felt like an action figure. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
6 foot, and you're 13?
14.
14 years old. You're 6'3". And do you get that height from dad's side, mom's side? Where does it come from?
I get it from my mom's side. Like my mom's about like 5'10", 5'11", but my grandpa is about like 6'3", 6'2", something like that. So like all my height comes from that side.
And you probably got a few inches left to grow as you're just going to be a freshman at Warren JFK. Are you a one-sport athlete, multi-sport athlete? How does it go for you?
I'm actually a 3-sport athlete. So I play football, basketball, and baseball.
Okay, what position? I'm guessing baseball. We already know your position is baseball. Basketball, what's your position?
I'm more of a forward center player. But...
Okay, so a post guy. Can you shoot the three still? Are you Dirk Nowitzki?
I'm not a 3 shooter, honestly.
Which is funny because you got the long game on your baseball resume, but the basketball resume, I figured you'd be a guy that stays outside. What about football? What position do you play in football?
In football, I'm a quarterback and cornerback too. So
Very cool. And you're going to war in JFK, and there's a championship mentality always in
yeah.
all the sports that they compete in. So what are you so excited? I know Dad is very excited about going to Kennedy this year. What makes you so excited to be an Eagle?
Honestly, like not only just the sports, but just the community you have there. Like everybody treats each other like family. You're not going to see many problems at that school, but even if you just see a random person on the street wearing Kennedy stuff, you talk to them and act like their family is how it is there.
I think what I'm most excited about for you is the fact that being able, we saw that and exactly what you're talking about. When you threw out the first pitch at the All-Star game, you threw it out to Caleb Hadley, who is the Warren JFK guy and obviously a very big talent for that team. Can you see yourself pitching to him next year? He's a senior, you're a freshman, and you guys contending for a state championship in baseball?
So I'm hoping that happens, but I definitely see us going back to the state championship this year.
I
So I
love
see
it.
us getting back to that level.
All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, I know that you were in Seattle, and I want to say you guys stayed for the draft. Am I correct in that assessment?
So yeah, we stayed for the draft because that was the day before the actual home run derby. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you were there, were you able to kind of take a step back and say, okay, I know I'm 14 years old. There's a lot going on right now, but this is where I want to be. Were you able to kind of push yourself towards that path and see yourself, 4 years, 6 years, 7 years from now, standing there, wherever that is, and being drafted and having your name called?
So I hope that happens, but I mean, thinking about all the talent in the world, it's hard to just do that. But I hope so.
We hope so too, man. Last, we're gonna get off the field for a second here for a couple questions, if you don't mind. Who are your role models, in your life, and people that help you get to where you are and are continuing to push you along to be who you can be?
So one person that's really big to me are my coaches. Coach Comlink at JFK, he's the basketball coach. He's a great guy. I mean, I love him to death. I mean, he's also the dean of students at our school, so he just has a great bond with all the students there. So he's probably my biggest role model.
All right. If you weren't playing sports, and if you didn't want to play sports in your future, what would you want to do? Is there a career path that you'd want to follow?
So the career path I want to follow is I actually want to end up being a scout when I get older for an MLB team or something. So my career is always going to be in like some sort of sports. So
I see. I can appreciate that because, like you, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, but they don't really look to 5'4" catchers that often, unless you're Jose Altuve at second base. But a career path in sports, it's interesting. You want to be a scout. What would you look for? What are some of the personality traits and character traits you'd look for in a good draft pick that maybe you possess?
so if I was a scout, that's hard. Nobody's really ever asked me this, but I just look for the way that they treat people, honestly. I mean, if you don't treat people right, how are you going to treat your teammates? Like,
I can appreciate that. Do you got any brothers or sisters? I think you got an older brother played hockey, right?
see, I got a brother that's playing ACHA hockey up at Akron University this year, and then I got a sister that also goes to Kennedy. So,
Wow. Okay. So here's the tough question. Nobody watches this show anyway, so you're safe. Who's the best athlete in your family?
me, my say my family admits that. Like,
I love it. I love it. What would your brother say?
he would agree. He's the one that's like told me that. Usually, like for the longest time, I used to just deny it, but my brother literally tells me all the time, like, you're the best athlete in this family.
Does your sister play any sports?
She does volleyball, but I don't know if she's doing that this year or not. But I think she's gonna do cross country. So
I know your parents are very important to you, man. What's one lesson that sticks with you to this day that mom and dad maybe pushed on you?
probably do everything as hard as you can. I mean, that's anytime I go to practice, even if I don't want to, I usually just go as hard as I can and don't stop till the end.
Trev, you got one great big fan here. Maybe not big, but you got a fan nonetheless here. We're looking forward to following your career the next 4 years and beyond, man. We're big fans of your family as well. Great family, great support staff that you have, and a great school that you're attending in JFK. Looking forward to hanging out with you. Thanks for hanging out with us here today, and you're always welcome here on the Power Hour, man.
All right.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. Take care. There he goes. Trevin Rinck. I mean, let's think about this for a minute. Let's put this in perspective. Okay. There's a lot of us that, we're big timers in this area where, if we're hitting home runs, 19 out of 25 home runs, we feel pretty good about ourselves. That's a story by itself. That is a fishtail that we will tell forever. This young man goes on. He's in Detroit. He's in Seattle, and he's hitting bombs, dropping bombs on behalf of all of us here in the Mahoning Valley, which I've said this before. I say it always. This is a hotbed for diamond sports, not just baseball, not just softball, diamond sports, because to me, we have some of the best umpires, officials that allow us to have a keen sense of a strike zone, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter. The baseball IQ is so high in this area, and it's thanks to so many. It's thanks to people at Seton Park. It's thanks to some of these coaches. It's thanks to the parents that are able to take their kids around and travel. It's thanks to NABF coming in to Struthers, Ohio. It's thanks to these high-level Little League organizations that we have around here that go to states and go to Little League and all that stuff. We are a hotbed, and Trevin Rinck is just the next Lego that's on top right now. And that dude is going to be on top for years to come. So I promise you,